How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Fraud on the Telly. In today's video, we're talking about two of my favorite things: football, soccer, and anime. Yes, as everyone seems to know, it is that time of year again, World Cup time. And this World Cup has already been off to a bang, despite many of its controversies. But to me, what makes this World Cup more special is it just so happens to be running alongside the best soccer, football, anime I've ever seen, Blue Lock. If you haven't heard or don't know what Blue Lock is, click the eye above where we do an in-depth video on it. But essentially, Blue Lock is soccer, football, anime meets Squid Game, the story of a bunch of high school Japanese soccer students, the best in their country, all being taken together in this strange facility called Blue Lock that looks to develop the #1 egotistical striker in Japan that can help Japan win the World Cup. Besides being a really accurate anime, if you enjoy soccer, football, and you know a lot about it, one of the coolest things about Blue Lock to me is the fact that almost all of the characters are loosely, some not so loosely, based off of real-life pro players, many of which are in the World Cup right now. That's why in today's video, we're going to be going over 10 Blue Lock characters based off players at the World Cup. As always, if you enjoy the video, learn something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out some of our other anime and Blue Lock content. And let's just get into the video. This video is going to avoid as much spoilers for Blue Lock as possible, but obviously when we introduce some of these characters, that in itself is going to be a bit of spoilers, so just keep that in mind. We begin with one of my favorite players and characters from Blue Lock, Bachira. Bachira is the definition of the streets will not forget-esque player. One of the most skillful players in all of Blue Lock, Bachira's main abilities is his dribbling ability. He is a dribbly boy capable of all of the skills and tricks, seeing all sorts of nutmegs, elasticos, rabonas, basically any skill move you can think of. Many people in the community compare him to players such as Ben Arfa or even Alan St. Maximin for his solo play, egotistical style of dribbling, taking on multiple opponents at once, being able to beat multiple opponents at once, and then releasing a killer key pass for the assist. At the World Cup, though, to me, Bachira is most represented by Neymar. Surprise, surprise, the dribbliest of dribbly boys in all of the World Cup. Besides many of the dribbling techniques we see Bachira use in the manga, in the anime, most notably all the nutmegs and the elasticos, Bachira has a tendency to do some no-look passes, and we know a certain young Brazilian man who has a flair for all of the above. Next up, Baro. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. The self-dubbed king of Blue Lock. Now, this one is much easier, I think, than the last. Baro is very obviously based off of one Cristiano Ronaldo, CR7. If the self-dubbed king title and maybe the spiky hair wasn't enough to get the comparisons, their playstyles are extremely similar, as Baro is considered the most physically fit, physically gifted of those in Blue Lock, as his training regimen is second to none, which very obviously parallels Ronaldo and his focus on his physique and his physical body. That's the reason why he's able to play until basically, what is he, like 37, 38 now. Baro as well has a strong shot. The middle shots coming from the middle of pitch just outside the D are being his best shot, something that we know Ronaldo loves to crank shots from a good 25 yards out. But I think besides the king moniker, the most obvious detail that this character is based off Ronaldo, besides his use of nutmegs, is that Ronaldo famous heel chop. That as well in the fact that Baro's soccer style is described as villainous soccer, as he is willing to sacrifice his team for his own egotistical striker exploits. Does that sound like a certain CR7, a certain Portuguese player that you might know of? For me, this is an extremely obvious closed and shut, especially when I saw that first panel of Baro doing the heel chop. This is the classic Cristiano Ronaldo Heel chop, if you've been watching football, soccer for long enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll see him do this at least once in every game he plays in the World Cup, almost guaryed. Next up, Chigiri. Now this one was a little more tough because there are a few players who might be like our boy Chigiri here. A young talented player who focuses on his pure pace to devastate the opposition. Yeah, that's right. Chigiri is a pace merchant. But the interesting thing about his character and his story is he suffered a major muscle injury sometime in his career, and since the injury, he's felt like he was scared to run or compete at his full pace, as his pace and his speed is his main attribute. And as soccer fans, we know the effect that major muscle injuries and injuries in general can have on players who highly depend on pace. Thus, there is a couple of players who it is most likely that Chigiri is based off of, most notably for me, Bale and Royce. Obviously, we know that Bale and Royce both have major injury crisis in their career, and while they are both older now, a good portion of the reason why their drop of pace and athletic ability has come from those repeated injuries to their muscles, to their ankles, what have you. There's numerous of players out there who have had their careers hampered and ruined by injury. It's a tale really as old as time, especially in any sport, but a sport like football, like soccer, and if you're a player who depends on pace to succeed, a major muscle injury will absolutely potentially devastate your career. That's why I'm pretty sure that Chigiri is most likely based off of Royce or Bale. Next up, Reo Mikage, one of the main supporting characters of Blue Lock, and arguably one of the most diverse, well-rounded characters that we get in our series. A character most likely based off of either Luka Modric or Toni Kroos. Reo is described as a box-to-box midfielder, a chameleon, a player who is extremely well-rounded, gifted in every aspect of the game. The thing that he does best, though, is controlling the game from the midfield, being able to use his vast variety of skills to orchestrate plays, play long passes, line-splitting passes as well. He's able to get back on defense and help his team. Reo's character apparently came to soccer very late, but through his hard work and studying of pro players and other better players, he was able to develop this well-rounded game that he presents. Now, Luka Modric and Toni Kroos in their prime were, to me, the definitions of box-to-box, well-rounded players, these jack-of-all-trades-esque players. Maybe less so Toni Kroos because of his inability to run very fast, but overall, I think that these two players really epitomize what I think they're trying to get to here with this character in Blue Lock. Continuing down crazy box-to-box midfielders, next we have Rin Itoshi, a character who seems extremely obvious to me is based off of Kevin De Bruyne. Rin is regarded in Blue Lock as the perfect playmaker, a character with amazing technical ability, able to pinpoint put the ball wherever he wants with either feet, with both passes, shots, free kicks, and corners. Well, he's capable of a variety of crazy shots and passes, most notably his Trivela passes, and he has crazy spatial awareness, being able to pick out players all across the pitch, players that it doesn't even seem like he could see. Well, this in every essence describes Kevin De Bruyne, probably for me the best midfielder alive at the moment, definitely in terms of an attacking, playmaking, creative sense. Kevin De Bruyne is one of the best passers in the world, capable of threading and seeing passes that basically like 99% of other players wouldn't even attempt to go for. For me, this is really one of the most obvious Blue Lock characters based off of pro players, as not many people play the game like Kevin De Bruyne. Next up, Seishiro Nagi, another player that was a little tough to exactly place what player in the World Cup he would be based on. Nagi is a creative player winger that focuses on his dribbling and passing ability to create opportunities for himself and other players. Two of his greatest skills being his passing ability, especially his first touch passing ability, as well as his insane ability to trap the ball, leading me to believe that of all the players in the World Cup that I think that he is based on, we might have another Neymar region. Namely for his trapping ability, as Neymar has one of the craziest first touches and ability to trap the ball of like any player I've ever seen alive currently at this point. One of Neymar's most famous skills techniques that he does is this very creative way that he uses to first touch trap the ball, something that's super extra and a super flair way to do it. But I mean, hey, when you're able to do this consistently and the ball just drops dead in front of you, you know, how are you going to complain? I've seen a lot of people compare Nagi to players like Zinedine Zidane, another player with insane trapping, ability to dribble and generate passes and create chances for himself. But of all the players at the World Cup, to me, this seems like another Neymar comparison, as I can't think of another player that has crazy first touch trapping ability better than Neymar at the World Cup right now. If you can think of a character that better fits Nagi at the World Cup right now besides Neymar, please let me know in the comments down below, as I'm not gonna lie guys, I was kind of struggling with this one. Moving on, we come to our main character, and easily one of the most obvious characters based off of a World Cup player, Yoichi Isagi. Like we said, our main character. Isagi is interesting because, unlike many of the other players at Blue Lock, he doesn't really have a main skill, weapon, or ability that sets him apart in his soccer, in his football. While he is a skilled finisher, dribbler, and passer, none of these things really set him apart from any of the other players at Blue Lock. No, it's his spatial awareness, leading the community to obviously compare Isagi to one Thomas Müller. Thomas Müller, the possible originator of the Fraudonthetele, a player in German football culture that occupies space, a poacher-esque player that knows when to attack and create space on a football pitch. It's said that Isagi can smell a goal. He knows when a goal is going to happen. He has an innate sense to know just what space on the pitch, in the box, wherever to take up to create the goal. This is Müller in a T, a player who is by many aspects in the pro scene seen as average in much of his abilities when compared to many other players, yet he performs a very unique role that many people don't understand for Bayern Munich as well as for the German national team. As well, like Müller, Isagi works very hard off the ball and makes really good off the ball runs and movements, either dragging defenders to set up his teammates or finding the channels of the space where it's unoccupied, setting himself up to receive a pass. It's super interesting that a show like Blue Lock would make a main character based off of a footballer like Thomas Müller, but hey, it makes for some very fun and interesting storytelling as Isagi grows to understand just how unique his gifts for soccer truly are. Finally, I think we come to the most obvious of characters in Blue Lock based off of a player at the World Cup, Julien Rocky, aka Kylian Mbappe. Besides Julien Rocky looking, well, a little similar to Kylian Mbappe, his style of play is basically picture perfect. Able to run at extremely high speeds and acceleration with or without the ball, he has a sense of when to counterattack and devastates teams on the counter with his world-class finishing ability from both feet. Besides Isagi, this character is probably the most obvious player based off of a real-life pro player at the time, being Kylian Mbappe, the French international, who is probably one of the most famous players in the world right now. And yeah, that's it for my list of Blue Lock characters based off of players at the World Cup. Let me know in the comments down below other Blue Lock characters based off of World Cup players, or if you disagree with me and think that some of these characters in this video happen to be based off of other characters. At the end of the day, a lot of this is pretty subjective, as some of them are way less obvious than others, and a lot of them have kind of an architect of a player that many real-life players could fit into. For example, like we said, the super fast player who had a leg injury that now is afraid to continue to run fast, or possibly doesn't have the ability to run as fast as they once did anymore. There's numerous number of players in world soccer, world football that would fit this description. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Keep your eyes out for more Blue Lock content in the future. And as always, guys, I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Peace, love, Adu.